One, and we are recording with the one and only Dr. Dale Comstock. What? Airborne, Delta, OGA, Mercenary, Black Belt, PhD, trained canines. Think you speak Portuguese. Actor, author. You build bombs, defuse bombs, and weds. And author of American Badass, and that book will be in the description. That's the first episode Dale and I ever did, episode 50, which was 2.5 years ago. This is episode 907, so it's been a Jesus Christ, man, I say that out loud. But Dale is absolutely the most interesting man in the world. He's the most interesting recurring guest I have. Dale was the holder of like the top 10 places for most views on my YouTube channel before I got banned. So but you've told God knows how many stories on here. I think probably most well known is the Modelo prison raid to get Kurt Muse. Was that Urgent Fury, Acid Gambit in Panama? But I texted you a while ago. It was a post I saw on your Instagram about running for security for a VIP somewhere out in California. And I mean, what's on your Instagram is it Bugattis, like 6x6 Mercedes trucks, and I guess this person was threatened. But so as not to butcher your story, Dale, take it away, man.
All right, cool. So I've done a lot of, as you kind of mentioned, I've got a lot of experience in a lot of different, particularly security skill sets. But one of the things I'm pretty good at is executive protection. I've been doing it for a long time. I've literally trained details to support the president of the United States, not this president. I would never do that. But and so, but no, like George H. Bush and others. And so I've trained, again, guys in my organization, past organizations to protect high risk dignitaries, American dignitaries abroad in very dangerous places. So I've protected, individuals, billionaires, millionaires, generals, a whole range of clients. I know VIP protection and soup to nuts. I'm really good at that. So, anyways, I worked in Hong Kong. As you know, we talked about that earlier. I protected a multi-billionaire investment banker over there, which was a very interesting detail. I'll kind of go into the details just a little bit because it's actually kind of comical. I won't mention any names, but the old man was, a good guy, Chinese guy, very well educated, well spoken, spoke really good English, worth a lot of money, married to, so he was about, at the time, he was about 54, 55. His wife was 32 years old. She's a Mexican model. I'll just be nice what I have to say. But anyways, that was his
10 out
wife.
of 10.
But the whole detail was actually kind of funny, right? So I kind of just sum it all up. So the security detail, based on the old man's requirements, all the guys had to be a certain size, had to have a certain look. He was a final approving authority of everybody that was on the detail. Believe it or not, I was the smallest guy on the team. I was weighing in about 215, 10% body fat, and 6 foot. And all the other guys were bigger than me, and all of us were bald heads, right? So I don't know if that was just kind of just worked out that way, but we're all a bunch of big bald headed dudes, literally from everywhere. Jamaica, Australia, Poland, Germany, so I had an international team, and I'm coming down on a Chinese guy with a Mexican wife, and then one of her best little buddies was a Hungarian German midget, gay, right, homosexual. And he was a little tiny dude, and he would always sit on our lap, and we'd travel around, in the freaking back of a G5, like a little freaking lap dog. But it was the most comical thing when you saw the whole entourage walking down the street. But anyway, that was a very interesting detail. But more importantly, going back to your story. So a few years back, I went to Los Angeles. I was on the series SWAT. I did one of the episodes on that, so I was invited to come out. I was out there, and while I was out there, another good friend of mine, who's also pretty famous actor, also a famous country western singer, he calls me just while I happen to be out there, and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "Listen, I got a friend. She's got a problem, and she needs security. She's scared to death. and blah blah blah. He starts going into some of the details, and he goes, "There's only one guy I told her I would recommend, and it was you." And I said, "Okay, well, how much? What's the details?" He goes, "Well, I'm gonna give you her number. She's expecting your call her, work out the the math and all logistics and things like that, and take it from there." And so I did, and I called her up, and so I figured my number, etc., and I called her up, and little did I know she knew everything about me. She had Googled the hell out of me a lot. And so when I called her up, I'm on the set. I go, "Listen, what's your drama?" She laid it all out for me. Basically, what happened was, she had someone that she thought she could trust, steal over $1 million worth of diamonds from her, right? Necklaces and jewelry and stuff like that. And then when she realized that she had been duped, it was too late. The person had gotten away with the stuff. This other person had belonged to a very notorious Chicago gang, led by a guy that was actually a felon, that had been to prison, been in a lot of trouble. All of a sudden, he becomes a life coach, right? So he's out there posing as a life coach, but he's still a gangster, right? And so it's an organized crime syndicate, if you will, and this was all part of the play. So, not going into how the details later on how this whole thing came together, but ultimately, what happens? I call her. I go, "Well, all right, listen." I said, "Here's my deal." I said, "It's $2,000 a day plus pass-through costs. That means, you put me up somewhere, feed me, and you pay me $2,000 a day." And and she's like, "Yeah, no problem." I was like, "Damn, okay." So
5,000 a day.
and well, actually, so that's probably like $1,600 a day more than the average bodyguard will get. But the way I looked at it, you're paying for the best, and so it's going to cost you, right? Because this was no joke. There was a real threat against her, a real deadly threat. In fact, what they had told her was if she didn't shut her mouth, they literally said, and these are the words, "I'm going to rape you, white girl, in an alley, and I'm going to kill you." And so, this was a very wealthy 31-year-old, beautiful woman, never been married, born into money, well educated, and always insulated. And all of a sudden, she's getting a death threat, and she was scared, right? So this is where I come into play. So I said, "Well, listen," I said, "one, I don't have, I said, I'm on a set filming." I said, "Really, I didn't bring a suit or any kind of work, that kind of clothes, for this type of work." And she's like, "Don't worry about it. You don't need any clothes." And little did I know later on, she really meant I don't need any clothes, like no clothes. So,
Okay.
and so okay. He goes, "Don't worry about it. Just come as you are." And I said, "Okay, that's even better because I really don't want to wear a suit, And then I had a friend with me and female. I go, "Listen, I got a female here with me." I said, I got a female here with me. And she goes, "Oh, just bring her along." I said, "Okay," because I'll use her as counter surveillance, I can plug her into this whole thing somehow. So anyways, after we got done shooting, on the set, I ended up I ended up in LA, flew to LA. She had a limousine waiting for me, and got in the limousine. She calls me. She sends me a menu of food, and she goes, "What do you like? Pick whatever you like." I don't know. She goes, "Just whatever," right? And so I was like, I don't know, man. It's like too much right now information. And so I get to her location, and she's staying. I won't name the name of the building, but again, just for OPSEC reasons, if you will, non-disclosure agreements and things like that. But where she was staying was a very high-end, very expensive apartment complex, is probably the best way I can put it. And let me put it this way: the suites on the top floor were $70,000 a month, and the lowest were $15,000 a month. These apartments, okay, it was like a little city in of itself, and that's where she lived. And guess where I stayed? In my own apartment for $15,000 a month. And I'm like, whoa, I thought I was gonna be staying down the street at a Holiday Inn or something, and I'd hope it to work every day,
Oh, she got you a room?
Yeah, right underneath
Oh,
hers.
fuck yeah.
So I got my own $15,000 a month apartment, which was nice, fully stocked with, she bought me all kinds of food and stuff, and whatever I wanted. It was stocked. Anyways, and then she had bought me already, ordered all kinds of clothes for me, like Under Armour clothes, hiking shoes and stuff. Like, wow, I didn't ask for another, but she had everything waiting for me, man. I was like, damn. So, so I meet her, and she kind of gives me the lowdown on everything. And so at the time, she was 31 years old, very, very attractive. Wow, a stunner, and very nice. And you know, she had told me what happened. So the story goes something like this. So now this involves another guy. He's a very rich billionaire out of England. He's in Miami. He's at a hotel. His woman walks up to him and you know, basically, you know, solicits him, very attractive. And the guy falls for it, you know. I don't know if he betted her there or what he did, but that ended up him going to LA because he lives in England, but he sat on some very prominent boards. I won't name the board, but very prominent boards. It was, you know, we all would know who it is if I said it. So so she kind of became his sugar baby, and she flew out to LA also, and she serviced him on call. And so this building that my client lived in, the only way you could move in there and go in there is you had to have a background check done here on you, right? So you just can't move in there. I want, you know, no matter how much money you had, they have to do a complete background check for security, blah, 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 pretty secure. Somehow this woman bypassed security and got an apartment in there, right? And probably the same way she got a hold of this billionaire. Somehow she worked her way in there, but now she's got an apartment in there. And she's sitting down with my client one day, and they're getting to know each other. And my client wore a lot of very expensive jewelry, and she didn't own it, or she didn't own it. A lot of times she was wearing it for another jewelry, you know, for a jewelry store, selling it and marketing for them, you know. And so this woman, just so I don't, okay, so I don't use any names, you know. My client, the other one was I'm gonna say the black woman. Okay, she was actually a high-end call girl, and I've got very attractive too. And so so the black woman, she became very good friends with my client. Well, immediately kind of warmed up to her, and she goes, hey, you know what, my boyfriend's this billionaire, blah blah blah, you know. And she goes, we're getting married, you know, and we want to have a nice wedding, and his kids are going to be there, and I want to make sure everybody's really decked out, and I want some really nice jewelry, you know, like what you're wearing there. That'd be cool, you know. Oh yeah, well, I'm selling this, not selling, but I'm wearing it for a jewelry store. We can work something out. And she's like, yeah, I would love this, and I would love that, and I would love that, you know. It's great, you know. And so she shows you know, pictures of her boyfriend and his bios and all that. She goes, here. She goes, how much? And she told her $1 million-something, right? She's like, okay. She texts her boyfriend and shows him pictures, and you know, and he's like, yeah, it was very nice. Go ahead and get them. Right? And I'll wire the money right now. Tell her to give me the transfer, the wire account information, and I'll wire the money. So she gets all that information, passes it to him. Now he's legit. All right, I met the guy. He was legit. Okay. Now, so my client's like, okay, well, okay, wire transfer information done. I trust you because I've kind of talked to this guy. Okay, connected all the dots. We're good. Here, go ahead and take that with you for now. And, you know, I'll wait for my wire transfer. Should be here in a minute. Wire transfer never came. And so then my client was like, oh shit. And this girl was gone.
Oh, fuck.
Out the back door. Gone. Right. So now this turned into an oh shit moment. She told the hotel, she talked to not the hotel, but the building manager, security, and they realized they screwed up too because they knew a background check on her. Somebody dropped the ball, and they wanted to keep it quiet because now they're going to piss off all these other tenants that, you know, very high, expensive, wealthy tenants, right? There were literally multiple billionaires living in this freaking place. And so when they went, finally, they wanted to evict her, couldn't get a hold of her, went into her apartment and found out there was nothing in this apartment, no furniture, nothing, just bare floors. There was garbage piled everywhere. She was just basically sleeping on the floor and just throwing trash everywhere, just using that as a whole up place, right? So now it's getting kind of really shady. So there was one guy that, man, I got to be very careful how I say this.
You're good.
There's some very prominent people out there that are associated with this thing, and
it's not live. I can edit out anything.
Yeah, really high end stuff. So, anyways, this one particular guy goes, yeah, I know this chick. She hanging around with this guy who hangs around with this guy who's a very well-known professional boxer. Okay. And this other dude's rolling around a Rolls Royce. She goes, yeah, I know exactly who they are. And she goes, can you please go down there and talk to him? Say, look, just give me the stuff back. I won't say nothing. So he does. And when he goes and confronts the guy, he's like, you know what? You tell that white bitch. He goes, if she don't shut up and drop this, I'm going to take her in a rally. I'm going to rape her and kill her. Right. He says, send her that message. So he came back and told her, and that's when she lost her shit. Got really scared. Now she's like, oh my God. Now here's a problem with the insured. I mean, the jewelry. It's not insured once it's off the property of the jewelry store.
Yeah.
So she's liable for it. Right. So now she's going to eat over $1 million worth of shit. Now she had money.
Yeah.
Her family was very wealthy, but apparently there's some other issues involved.
It also makes her look like shit now to the jewelry company. Is it an inside job?
Yeah, trust funds and things like that. There's other drama that goes along with it. So, so anyways, it's not looking good for her. And so I, so my job is basically to pull security for her, right? So I get my body armor. I have my cousin. He brings one of my uncle's 45s, and I'm packing out there as well because at this point I've already engaged LAPD, the U.S. Marshal's Office, the FBI, the agency. I've gotten a lot of people, including the Chicago gangs unit. I'm well plugged in everywhere, man, law enforcement and around the country, and they're all getting in this. And one of the messages I got was that this guy said he will kill her because you better take him serious because this guy is no joke. And I was like, whoa. And I realized who this guy is and who this gang is. It's like, yeah, these are some evil people. This is a syndicate. So so now I'm thinking, okay, this is not just, okay, this is real. And so I'm making sure I'm covering down on her good. So she never wanted to leave this building. Not that we even needed to, because everything you wanted was in this building. Everything, man. Movie theaters, all private stuff, swimming pools, bars, she didn't really work. She had a clothing company, but she didn't really work. But sometimes we'd have to venture out, and go to dinner or go to the company or whatever we had to do. So, so I said, all right, first things first, I said, we're going to talk about personal security. We're going to talk about patterns of life. We're going to talk about, some things that you need to understand, do's and don'ts. I said, I'm going to talk about some basic defensive techniques, those types of things, right? Just we got to start somewhere. So that's what we started with. And I went with her everywhere, man. We would go out for dinner, every night. And I swear she would not, I would try to cover down on the door wherever I needed to position myself tactically. She wouldn't have it. She's like, no, you have to sit right here next to me. I'm like, okay, you're paying, but okay, if that's what you want. Man, I'm sitting there next to her before man, it gets crazier, right? It gets really crazy. Then I finally realized she had fallen in love with me. It took, I was like, this is really awkward, but okay, I'm thinking, she really likes me, man. It's like I'm trying to do my job and keep my professional poise, and so as time goes on, we're going out every night, her and a couple other, just like two other people, a couple eating dinner, probably spent no less than $1,500 every night on dinner, and I had to sit at the table and indulge as well, freaking, okay, so and then some time went by, and now I go from bodyguard to PI. Not that I want to, but she's not making any progress. She's already talked to LAPD, and they're like, well, you're a rich white girl, we got other,
they don't give a
fuck. We got other little blue collar minions to worry about. So, whatever, and they kept dismissing her, and she was getting really frustrated. She wasn't getting any help. I did the best I could. I mean, doing background checks and had PIs involved, trying to run this thing down. And, but there was one thing kind of made me wonder was this billionaire's role in this thing, right? It's like, I happened to run into in the building because he lived on the top floor. Again, he was one of the founders of a very prominent hotel chain, big hotel chain, right? And I was like, wow. And kind of told him the story. He goes, oh, I know that guy. He sits on this board, and he goes, by the way, if this story gets out, he's done. He is done, right? And it's like he doesn't want this story to get out or his name attached to it. I go, really? That's good to know. So Next morning, I called the guy. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "this is me. I'm providing security for, the client." I said, "I would like to come and talk to you somewhere in private. I got something very important we need to discuss. It would really behoove you to come and have this meeting with me." And so he did. And so I arranged it. So it was like 7 o'clock in the morning at a Starbucks across LA somewhere. And I got there early. I picked out the seat, the table, and everything. Did a little recon before we got started, make sure I wasn't being surveilled. And he shows up, little fat, white, dumpy, redheaded English dude. And he kind of wobbles in and I, "Hey, how's it going, man? Sit down." He sits down and he's got his back towards the door and the windows. And I'm sitting back against the wall. And we kind of start off with some, a little small talk, and then I was like, "Listen, man," I said, "here's the deal." I said, "This woman you've been banging, which I know you're married, you got 2 kids in England," I said, "and you're over here banging this other chick." And she used your name. We've got text messages and emails from you. We know it's true. We got pictures of you two together. We got all this. We can prove you two know each other. And you guys had this conversation about the jewelry. I said, "My client only wants the jewelry. She just wants the money, either the jewelry or the money back. That's it." And, and I said, "Be honest with you," I said, "a man of your status, because I know all about you, and I ran it down for him. He was like, 'Oh shit.' I said, 'Yeah, I know. You got billions of dollars. You sit on some very prominent boards.' I said, 'Look, bro,' I said,
Just write the check.
I said, 'You know what I would do if I was sitting in your seat? I would just go ahead and write that check, sign an NDA,
Be done.
we're signing in there, be done with this thing, right? Just look back. It was okay, lesson learned."
Noted.
And he was squirming in his chair, man. He's like, "Yeah, whew." You can see like sweating bullets. He's like, "Yeah," flopping around, like, "Woo, woo, woo." And I'm not trying to threaten him. I'm just saying, this is what I would do, man. Is I would do that. And he goes, "Yeah, you know what?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "Let me talk to my lawyer." I go, "That's a good idea." I said, "Talk to your lawyer." And so I said, "And we'll expect a phone call from your lawyer, most Ricky Tick." I said, "Because if you don't, it doesn't happen." I said, "My client is prepared to go to the LA Times, to all the newspapers, and tell the story, and she's going to drop your name." I said, "I promise you, your wife and your kids are going to see it. And the board you sit on are going to hear it." I said, "It's not going to go well, man." I said, I can't talk her off of it, man." I said, "I'm not going to talk her out of it. She's going to do this, man." I said, "Sorry, man, it's how it is. I'm just a messenger." And so, like, he's getting really nervous, right? So we part ways. And by the time I got back to her apartment, her lawyer already called. Her lawyer called our lawyer, who called her, and his lawyer called her lawyer, who then called us, and he said, the other lawyer said, that she sent one of her goons over to, I'm like, "Oh, good. That's how it was supposed to go."
That's how I want to come across.
I wanted to be like the nice, nasty guy,
Yeah.
dude. For this, I'm going to play the role. So it kind of worked, and so they wanted to settle. They wanted to give her $250,000, and I knew that was going to be a non-starter. And she's like, "No, not no, but hell no." She goes, "I want over $1 million," and I'm looking at her thinking, "No, you better take the 250. They're not going to give you more." I said, "In fact," I said, "the next thing that's going to happen is that dude's going to get on the first thing smoking back to England. He's going to leave this country, and now
And you're gonna be out.
it's all over, right?" So she told him no, and I was right. He got on the plane. Now, before that, what happened was I actually tried to arrange, because I had talked to him on the phone a couple of times, and I said, "Look, man," I said, you're still communicating with this woman." I said, "Why don't you set up a little dinner date, bring her to dinner, let me know when and where." I said, "I will come in and effect a citizen's arrest." Now, I already cleared the police department. I go, what are my legal ramifications? What can I do?" I said, "This woman's already got 3 felonies, by the way." Yeah, she's already had 3 felony, 2 non-parole felonies on her. I said, "So we've got a felon." And I asked her, I said, "Can I just kind of walk in a restaurant and just freaking arrest her?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So we're rolling around on the floor, because I'm pretty sure she's going to give me a fight." And I said, "I accidentally grabbed her boob or something, trying to restrain her." I said, "Is there going to be any blowback?"
Is this assault?
He said, "No." He says, "Just, you can do this, right? It's a citizen's arrest. You got grounds, blah, blah." He gave me all the reasons, right? I got this from several law enforcement sources. I said, "Okay, so sounds like a plan." So I kept trying to tell this guy, can you set up? Yeah. She's gonna meet me tonight at dinner. Where? What time? Okay. Then he come back. She canceled. I said, okay, let's try it again. We tried it several times, right? And it's like kept canceling. So I started thinking, this guy's jerking me around. He's just saying that, but nothing's happening. Probably on purpose. She was pretty elusive anyways, but there was more to this thing was smell a little fishy, right? Because if I caught her, it's gonna open Pandora's box for him anyways, right? It's gonna open the box anyway. So I'm thinking, he's
got no interest in helping you.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to help me, right? So that's when I said, let's have a meeting. And I brought it out to him. And then of course he left. So now we're like, this is going on for a while. I keep asking, I said, how long do you need me for? And she kept saying forever. I'm like, oh yeah, right. I can't be here forever. I got things to do, and that's when it started, occur to me that I think she likes me, man, like a lot, outside of, it's not personal, not professional, and so I try to keep my professional poise. And there was a lot of, oh my God, it'll come out in the book when I write the book. There's a lot of things that it's pretty good, man. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I need you to come up here. I need to talk to you. Where you at? In my bedroom. Oh God, no. Okay, got it. You want to talk to me? Like pillow talk. I got this. Okay.
No, right. I'm Dale. I'm a man of many talents.
Yeah, it's like, it got really crazy. But honestly, I liked her. She was really cool.
Sure.
She was really, I tell you, any other guy would have been all over that, man. I mean, there was nothing wrong with her whatsoever. Very, very attractive. Lots of money. I mean, whoever married her became a millionaire overnight, and she's just a good person. But so anyways, a couple other things that during the day, like we would always meet downstairs in there's this large lounge area kind of open to the swimming pool, just really nice, bar. It's just cool, man. And we'd hang out down there and eat breakfast and buffet and lounge around all day. And then all our very rich, everybody lived in the building was super rich. They didn't need to work. So they had nothing else to do but hang out downstairs too on the couch, right? So they come down there and we have these bullshit sessions, and then it was like, who are you? Oh, this is my security guy. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, he's a veteran. What is that? Oh, he's in the Army. Woo, it's like a puppy. Like, oh my God, you found it. That's what those puppies look like.
Yeah.
Right. It was like it was literally like that.
What breed is he? Oh, he's a Delta Force. He's a Delta Force OGA mix.
I'm not even sure they knew what that meant, right? But so I remember, and here's the thing about these rich people, man. And I've worked around a lot of rich people. I've had some rich partners, business partners, and there's only about 4 things they can talk about. 4 things. They can talk about wine, food, hotels, and the women can talk about other women's dress, right? They talk shit all the time. That's the 4 main topics, That's all they know in the world, right? Is wine and fine dining and hotels, travel, and other people how to, look like shit, right? And so they were very boring. And then every now and then it's like they would ask me a question about the military, and I was like, okay, and I start to tell them something, and they just cut me off and start talking about wine and shoes and fucking hotels and shit. Because it went right over their head, right? Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to talk to you. I didn't want to talk to these people,
Fuck these motherfuckers.
And I remember one day we were sitting down there, and there was this one woman from England, very wealthy and very talkative, and there's a whole bunch of people sitting there, and they asked me, they were all Trump bashers. So they hated Donald Trump every one of the people in this building, right, hated Donald Trump. And it was pretty apparent that I did not, right? But I kept my political beliefs to myself, my religious belief. I try to maintain my professional poise, even though my client was sitting on my lap on the couch. Yeah. She's paying the bills, what am I gonna do? She wants
fuck are you gonna do? Yeah.
On my head. She's paying me $2,000 a day.
Yeah.
And so I remember the question came out. She goes, it went into homosexuals and transgenders in the military, and what's wrong with that? Blah, 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 blah. And I gave her my personal story of what actually I went through in 82nd. Back in 1982, I watched what happened when one guy who was gay and nobody knew it sexually assaulted one of our soldiers while he was sleeping after a platoon party. And that turned into literally a battalion fist fight every day for 30 days those guys against my platoon. I was in a recon platoon, and these guys were non-combat. They were combat related. It was a military intelligence battalion, and they hated us anyways because recon, right? And anyways, it was just a fight every day, so bad that we were completely dysfunctional and combat ineffective. My battalion commander took us all across the street to York Theater and Fort Bragg, and basically said, "It all stops now." He goes, "And I'm gonna start burning people in Article 15." He goes, "This doesn't end right here, right now," because it was just getting way, way out of hand. And so, anyways, this is, so I'm trying to explain to her why this was such a bad thing, because what they don't understand is when it comes to combat arms, 99% of those people in combat arms, whether it's Green Berets, Rangers, Marines, SEALs, etc., are conservative. They're patriots, they're Republicans, right? They're not liberals by any stretch. They probably are now because they're cramming them down everybody's throat, but at that time they weren't. And suddenly when you infuse the ranks with this other, these other people with different sexual preferences, I mean, think about if you were in a platoon with a bunch of hot chicks,
Yeah, I'm not.
You're the only dude in there. It's like you're setting yourself up you get set up for failure, man.
The worst podcasts I do are with, have only happened a couple of times, are with attractive women. They're not good because I'm not on topic. I'm not doing a podcast. I'm flirting. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I'm trying to explain to her what happened and why I think it's a bad idea and it doesn't work, right? And she was just coming unhinged. She's like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this. I can't take this." And she just started she got up and stormed away. I'm like, wow, I just told you what happened, and I give you my opinion based on my real life experience, none of which you have because you've never met a veteran until today, right? Nobody in this building has, right? So that's why I'm like a little rock star, It's like, wow, that's what they look like. These Army guys look like that, And so, anyways, but I hated them. I hated these people. They were just so liberal, so out of touch, man. They don't know anything about common people, man, middle class. They were so uppity. They don't know jack shit about the rest of the world, right? Other than wine, food, hotels, and other people's clothes. That was all that was central to these people, right? So anyways, I just kept my mouth shut, try to be professional, they tried to drag me into these conversations, and I'm like, but anyways, so finally what happened was, as time goes by, I'm realizing this woman's falling in love with me. She asking me to stay with her, and suddenly we're going from me being a bodyguard to possibly being, her life partner of some kind, right? And she's making all these plans, and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I can't do this. I'm living in Indonesia. I'm building a company over there, and I realized I don't want her money. I don't need it. I want to build my own business, make my own money. I'm really not, I wasn't married yet to my current wife, but I was like, I told her, I would never get along in your world. We'd last 2 or 3 months before we
it'd be a fun fling. And then it would,
and so finally what ends up happening was, I spent some time with her, right? And I realized, okay, this thing is dead. She's not getting the jewelry back. She's not getting the money back. She just lost $1 million worth of shit. And because she trusted somebody too much. And I just felt like, at this point, nobody's going to come and kill her because they got the diamonds, they got the money, and it's a dead end road for her, right? She's got nothing. And so I finally said, look, I got to leave. I think we're done here, and I don't want to keep taking your money, and I knew if I didn't get out soon, this was going to get really freaking ugly, So I told her, I said, tomorrow I'm getting on a plane and I'm going to go home, and we're done. So she's like, so the morning comes up, she's got a limo waiting for me. She calls me into the kitchen. She's on the kitchen counter, right? She calls me over, and anyway, she's crying and boohoo and holding me and stuff. And she's asking me, can I spend one more day with her and go to, what is it? Out in the desert.
Burning Man? those festivals, Burning Man.
No. It's a resort. Man, I'm having a brain fart right now, but anyways, a nice resort in the desert. And she's asking me, come with me and spend the night with me out there, and then tomorrow she goes, I'll put you on a jet and a private jet and fly you home, And I looked at her, I go, well, I said, come on. I said, we're gonna go out there and what do you think is gonna happen? I said, we're gonna be doing it like rabbits, and tomorrow I'm gonna get on that airplane anyways, right? I said, so let's just not drag it out and move on, right? And I literally turned around and walked out the door and never looked back. Well, I got back to Florida, and like a few days later, without going into details, there was a really big fight in Las Vegas, right? Televised. And I get this, and that's like 10 o'clock at night in Florida. And I get this phone call from her. She's losing her shit. And I go, what's wrong? She goes, there she is. She's at the fight and she's wearing all my diamonds. I'm not joking, man. She's literally at the where the fight is. I'm in Las Vegas. And she's sitting right there with the gang and these prominent boxers and stuff, wearing all the jewelry that she had stolen. No. And as she goes, get her. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I go, how am I going to get her? Right. I said, so I ended up calling some friends. We ended up getting a hold of the security managers at that hotel and other
Something
hotels.
went wrong. Please try again.
Sorry.
You're good.
And so they started tracking her from hotel to hotel, resort to resort, right? I can't remember which ones she went to, but several, like MGM and others. And they had her on CCTV camera. And basically she was patrolling around and soliciting men is what she was doing. She was doing the same thing she did to the first guy, got her into this thing. And they were tracking her. And so now I'm talking to the FBI field office in Las Vegas. I'm telling the story. So I'm doing a lot of work, like in a very short amount of time. And that ended up turning into, I said, I got friends out there right now. I said, can we just go ahead and arrest her? And they're like, no, because her felonies are in California, not Nevada. And I said, if you arrest her or grab her, that's kidnapping, blah, 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 and then so all this other stuff was getting in the way. I'm like, oh my God, man, she's right there. And so anyways, they kind of lost track of her, but she was manifested to get on a private jet the next morning, right, with this boxer and the whole gang. She was manifested to fly out. So what I was going to do is just set up an ambush. She shows up, roll her up right there with the cops, right, and then have her extradited. But she's the only one that didn't show up at the airport. The only one that didn't show up. Did not show up. Yeah, and so that's kind of how the big picture of the story, kind of goes. But it was very interesting. And there's a lot of things that happen in between that just, I always tell people, it reminds me of the movie, The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, but Bodyguard 10X. My story is much better than his story.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So my own naive questions, I guess one more surface level. It's kind of like what I said about doing podcasts. If I want to put out good podcast, I know not to do it with like a hot single girl. Or not single. I'm single, so I don't give a fuck. Now, doing executive protection, I would imagine that not only is it just, you don't want her own shit, she's kind of in a different stratosphere of wealth. And like you said, it would be a fun 3 months and then it would just be a disaster. Are you also looking at it as like, if you start flirting with her, if you start getting feelings for her, that has to, at some tactical level, you're not going to be as like, bug-eyed and like looking at the door and looking at windows, and that's got to start to I mean, it's literally a change in brain chemistry, right? Oxytocin, dopamine. That's gotta, like, you wouldn't take a Xanax or start drinking on the job because you want to be on point. That's gotta be one thing, right?
Yeah. So honestly, man, I could have fallen in love with her. I'll tell you right now, probably any dude could have fallen in love with her. She was attractive, very attractive, very well built. She had big boobs, and she told me she already had big breast reduction. What? Whoa, what? So, but there was not an ounce of fat on her. Just amazing woman, man. Very amazing, very smart. She had it all. she had it all. Any other guy would have probably jumped on that, and you know, who knows how it would have turned out. But you know, at my age, I mean, Christ Jiminy, I was 55, I think, 56, 55. And yeah, 55, I believe. You know, she's 30, 31. And not that that's that big of a deal, but I just have a life experience to go, you know, I want something different in life. I don't want money, her money. I don't want, you know, I don't want to get caught up with this because I've been through these relationships before. They're, you know, they're wild and crazy for a minute.
They're fun, but
kind of, you know, poof, go away. And I kind of knew this was where to go. And I tried to imagine living in her world, you know, out there with these people, man. I was like, I would, nah. In a few weeks, I'd just start freaking going on a killing spree, man. I couldn't take it.
That's the other thing I was thinking is how long until it's you in a seersucker suit punching some trust fund kid in the face because he said, you know, he said all soldiers are rapists or something, and it's you fucking defending your brothers.
I couldn't handle it, man. And so yeah, and you're right. You know, I'll be honest with you. It was luckily, you know, I have the maturity that I could stay on point. You know, no matter what she did or how things played out with us, you know, some things played out, but I always maintain it will keep my professional poise when I needed to, you know. And so and that comes with maturity, because when I ran the detail in Hong Kong, I would not hire any guys less than under the age of 44. Most of my guys were around 44 or older, and there's a reason for that. Younger guys don't have that experience. And two, what I've learned was, especially when you have an attractive client, there's attractive women involved, then things are going to go sideways. And that actually happened. I brought one guy in that was 32. He's a good friend of mine. And I said, listen, man, I said, please, you know, keep your dick in your pants.
Straight and narrow.
I said, just, you know, keep your professional poise. Because I knew he was very attractive to women. I already knew he's, you know, women like this guy. And this particular woman was a little player. Her problem was she couldn't play because she's guarded 24/7 by us. Old man was smart. and so, you know, so now this guy shows up. There's another story that goes along with that, but basically he calls me one day. He goes, dude, I was in her office. They had a birthday party for all her agents, employees, and eating cake and cupcakes. And she was feeding me cupcakes by hand. I go, are you kidding me? I said, you should take your ass out of that room and stand outside the door. I said, you do not let the client feed you cupcakes with her hand. And so it got even, and he, you know, he just didn't know what to do. He didn't play along with it. He just got caught in an awkward moment. But he was at least, you know, decent enough to always explain to me what was going on. So I was aware that she was putting the moves on him, and he ended up, she ended up in Morocco. They were in Morocco. The rest of the detail was still in Hong Kong. He and another guy went to Morocco because she said, I only want this guy and this guy. Right? She didn't like me at all because I'm an asshole. The old man liked me. We got along fine because we're the same age and stuff, you know. And but I got along just great with him. But she didn't like me because, you know, I'm just too much alpha for her. But anyways, she picked the guy. I want that guy and that guy. Whatever. So I get like a week off in Hong Kong by myself, you know, and hanging out at work. So I was good with that. But she called him up one morning. The old man was gone at a meeting, and it was really early in the morning. She calls him up. She said, I need to talk to you. He comes up, and she's laying on the couch in her morning robe, nothing on underneath it, all laid out. And she says, sit down, you know. I run the detail now, you know. I know more about security than you guys do, and blah, 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 you know. And he doesn't know, the old man doesn't know what he's talking about, you know. She's actually throwing the old man under the bus. I'm like, whoa. And she's putting the moves on this guy. And to his credit, man, he literally got up, walked out the door away from her, went downstairs, grabbed his shit, went to the airport, and flew out to New York. And when the old man comes back, goes, where's that so-and-so? He left. Why? I don't know. And she goes, I think we should fire everybody. She told him, we just fire all these guys.
Oh, fucking bitch. Clean house.
Right? And the
liquidation.
My old man was like, why would I do that? And right, it wasn't adding up there. It's like, why would I fire those guys? They didn't do nothing. He left. Okay, he left. But you know, but she knew. She knew that I knew.
Oh yeah.
I knew everything. And she knew we all knew everything now.
Daughter's a hoe, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And she ended up firing every guy one by one. Very sneakily got rid of every dude, man. I was the last to fall. She waited until I went on vacation. And she pissed and moaned before I came back. I went to detail, you know, and old man was like, you know what, you just take charge. Right? He had no idea what was going on. As soon as she got it, she called the employer to go, I don't want that guy back here. She knew. And then she hired all these guys from Europe, all these pretty boys, you know, long hair and slender. Oh yeah, I know what she's doing. She's
getting her stable.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, anyways, I've got my, you know, I've had my days in this business, and you know, the thing about doing bodyguard work, it's really not that glamorous, you know.
Sure.
Honestly. One of my guys, so he's actually my lawyer. He was a SEAL commander, was an attorney for Blackwater, a little bit older than me. He was on the detail with me, and she's literally telling me, and I got a doctoral degree, he's got a jurisprudence degree, and she's telling two of us with advanced degrees that she's smarter than us about security, and we're looking at like, what? You know who you're, and it's a Delta Force guy and it's Navy SEAL. Are you, you know, this is the kind of person that we're dealing with. But you know, it was it's a shit show because we got treated like shit all the time. I remember going to Paris with her and her old man and one other guy from Australia, and you know, big pink Louis Vuitton purses, and she's making him carry it. I wasn't going to carry it. No, my hands need to be free. I'm not carrying your pink purse in a suit downtown the streets of Paris, you know. But you know, she was just always doing stuff like that. You know, just treated us like dogs, you know, like valets and shit, you know. And I was like, you know, this is not
fuck you.
This is actually kind of standard in that world. You're looked down.
I believe it.
Yeah, you kind of look down upon as like the help, you know. You're just a security dog, you know. And what these people don't realize sometimes is some of us are actually you know, well accomplished, well certified, well credentialed, well accomplished on many levels, you know, and including businesses.
Yeah, entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Yeah, just because we're not billionaires doesn't mean you're better than us, you know. And so, I personally, you know, I did the work because when I did it, I got paid well because I demanded it. You know, it's like, you know, if I'm going to be a little bitch, you're going to pay me for that, you know. And there's still going to be there's going to be rules, my rules, but I get a lot of requests for bodyguard work. You know, people always want to do it, but you know, it's kind of a thankless, gutless job. You know, it's long hours, can be long hours, on your feet. You know, and it doesn't take much to screw up, especially on your client. You know, depending on their attitude and stuff. So here's a funny story. So I'm with the client, and we're out at dinner one night, and it's me and another bodyguard. We're kind of sitting off to the side. Old man calls me over. He said, "Hey man," he goes, "tonight is the World Cup between Holland and Mexico." He goes, "Can you get us a table at Delaney's Sports Bar downtown Wan Chai, Hong Kong?" And we were like a best table in front of the big screen, so we can watch the soccer game. So I called one of my guys, and he's there already talking to the manager. And unfortunately, the main table that they wanted was already booked. I go, "Damn, who's got it?" He goes, "The Mexican Chamber of Commerce." I go, "What? The Mexican Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong? They have that?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, so they already got the table. I'm like, okay. I said, "Can you get another one?" He goes, "Well, we've got another one. It's pretty good, not as good, but it's good enough." I said, "Okay." So I go back to the table. So now all these years I've been teaching. I was a professor for Henley Putnam University, and I taught couple of different topics. One of them was psychology of violence, right? Which in that course, I talk about things like cartels, Mexican mafia, you know. And so when he said the Mexican Chamber of Commerce, the only thing I heard was Mexican mafia, right?
Yeah.
So I walked back to the table and I said, "Sir," I said, "the good table is already taken. I'm sorry, you know, but we have another table that's pretty good, but you know, the one you wanted gone." He goes, "Who's got it?" I go, "Well, sir, it's occupied by the Mexican mafia." Right. And I did not realize what I said, right? And she looked at me like, "What the fuck?" Right. And I thought of it. He looks at me, kind of giggles and goes, "What?" And I go, "Oh, shit." I said, "No, sir." I said, "It's too late. I couldn't ring the bell." Right.
Jesus Christ, Dale.
And I'm like, but here's the thing, right? At that time, I was my ex was Panamanian Chinese, right? So Hispanic and Chinese. So I think, you know, I wasn't being racist or anything. Yeah. And so he looked at me, kind of rolls like, "What?" And he kind of, I said, "Sir," I said, "I meant the Mexican Chamber of Commerce," right? And so I said, "That's just kind of a slip." You know, I can't explain it at this point. It's just, she's not going to give me that chance. She goes, "You know what? I really don't appreciate that." I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. It just kind of came out that way. And she goes, I don't like that. And I'm like, yes, ma'am, sorry. You know, and I'm like, fucking little bitch, 32. I got daughters older than her, you know.
Yeah, fucking knock her teeth out. Yeah. Fuck that
So,
bitch.
so I kind of let it go, just try to keep my professional poise. And then we get into their limo, right? She's got this, oh my God, she's got this Rolls Royce Phantom from hell, man. And it's like a tank. And we get in it. I'm sitting in the front seat, and they're in the
Armored?
back. Huh?
Armored?
It's not armored. It might as well be, but it was massive, man. It was amazing. They had the patent on the paint, everything. So we're driving along across town, not far, and I could hear it back, blah, 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 you know, and I could hear her talk about the Mexican mafia, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, no, she's not going to let this go. I know she's not going to let this go because this is it. This is what she wanted. This is how she's going to get rid of me, the last survivor, man. You know, she's got rid of all the other guys. This is it. And so I turned around and said, ma'am, I want to apologize again. I didn't mean to say it that way. I said, and I tried to explain why. She said, well, I really don't appreciate that. I said, I get it. I said, and I'm not going to, you know, argue with you. I'm just trying to tell you it wasn't deliberate, you know. And so anyways, so I think I also forgot. We go there, successful night. It's really crowded. I'm there about another 2 weeks. And then I come home for 30 days on leave. And then I'm getting ready to go back a couple days out. I call the company that, you know, I'm working under, and I say, hey, you know, I'm ready to come back, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey man, we apologize, but the old man gave her the detail and she did not want you back. I said, what?
Bitch.
Why? She just doesn't want you back. Oh, I said, I know why. Oh, I know why. I know why. And I said, I should have saw that coming, man. But so, you know, that turned into, well, you know, screw it. So anyways, the cool thing is that particular company, they put me on a retainer for $7,000 a month, until, you know, they had some other work they wanted me to do in South Africa and some other stuff, you know, and they took really good care of me, you know, because I thought I did a pretty good job for them, you know. You know, anyways, but this is my point, you know, is this is not it seems glamorous, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's hard work, and you got to put up with a lot of bullshit, a lot of insults, a lot of risk. You know, I constantly found myself, you know, trying to, for example, okay, this guy didn't dance. He was an older guy. You know, he smoked like 10 packs of cigarettes a day, you know, and she was young and she wanted to party. And so we'd go to these nightclubs, and she wanted to dance. And so he couldn't dance. So he had to stand on the side, and she'd go out and dance. Of course, all the young expats, you know, from especially the Brits and Australians were out there trying to hit on her, you know, in front of him, you know. And my job was basically just to kind of keep him back. So she's out there dancing. I'm standing on the dance floor, and back, back, you know. And same thing with him. Somebody had to cover down on him because they would bully him.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like, how does anybody enjoy this? You know,
Like, what am I doing? I mean, I guess the money is right.
Yeah, you know, and so, you know, I found myself doing a lot of that stuff. You know, it just, you know, some of the, you know, just the way I felt like sometimes I'm being treated, and looked down upon. It's like, this is not cool, you know. The upside was I had, you know, I had my own apartment in Wanchai, fully paid for, downtown, a very nice apartment.
Yeah.
You know, I had some good digs. I had everything I needed right there, you know. So nice gym right around the corner. Everything was right. It was a really cool place to live. Wanchai was awesome. Outside of that, you know, the job, it was thankless, man. I did not enjoy it.
It's gotta be something that it's probably fun at first, and it would probably maybe even stay fun if you were constantly switching details. I could see where that maybe keeps it spicy. But I mean, at a certain point, yeah, you do gotta, right? Because I mean, you're never gonna make that money in the army, but to be in Delta, right, and have the respect of your peers
Yeah.
and even from your superiors, right? I mean, they still fucking you're tier one, you still, you know, you get the nod. That's gotta be kind of a deeper level of kicked in the nuts to just be talked down to by some rich
Well,
bitch.
remember this. You know, I've 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 had companies I built successfully and sold them. My
Well, that
first,
too. You know you're a competent
yeah,
person.
I sold my first company G4S, you know, 2004. I've sold another company 2011 to another company, you know. So I built companies, I made money, I've done well, you know, in many areas of my life, you know, and I took this job. It's funny what the reason I took that particular job is because I'm in Hollywood doing these movies. So I ended up by chance in Hollywood. I didn't ask to go there. I got discovered literally by Discovery Channel. That led to one TV show, and NBC saw me, go, hey, you know, they pulled me in another show, and then next thing you know, I got a production group company out of Dallas calls me, go, hey, we want you to be our poster boy, you know, and then next thing you know, I'm neck deep in Hollywood, networking and doing all this stuff. You know, I've done quite a few TV shows, and then I'm starting to realize, you know, this is not going anywhere. I'm not liking it, you know. I was told that if I had stayed in LA, got a place to live, I could possibly be the next Danny Trejo. They could have me on TV every day, you know, but they said you have to live out there because they don't want to pay for me to fly back and forth. They said, come out here, establish yourself. You got the look, you could be the next Danny Trejo, you know. And I thought about it, I was like, man, you know, faking the funk just ain't getting it. I said, this is not what I do. You know, there's no substance to this. Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from actors, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard work, but it's not real work like what I'm used to. Like, you know, when I shoot people, I don't shoot them for, you know, with a blank gun.
Yeah, you're not shooting and being like, did you see that? It's life or death.
Yeah. And so I decided that at some point, a couple of things happened. One, I sold my company to another company, and I was actually still running my company under them. They were the umbrella company. And I was sitting at home making over $23,000 a month just at home passively, you know, for years, plus doing all the other stuff I was doing. And the investor that bought the companies, he screwed it up. And I literally walked away. So I'm not going to deal with this, you know. And the whole Hollywood thing was starting to lose its luster for many reasons. And then I had an opportunity that I heard about from a former Delta guy, a plank holder, and I heard him run his detail in Hong Kong. I called him up. He goes, yeah, we need a guy right now. I said, I'm in. And that's how I ended up living in Hong Kong and working over there. And then I met my wife over there. And then one thing led to another. I ended up moving to Indonesia, where I saw some business opportunities, built another company over there, and I moved from Jakarta to Bali. So I've been in Indonesia like 7 years, Bali 4.5 years, and been pretty successful, you know, running a security company over there and living the life, you know, in paradise. But everything has purpose, you know, and, you know, when I look back, everything was, you know, I got something out of everything, even running these security details. You know, I learned a lot about people, learned a lot about life, learned a lot about the profession. And I more importantly learned a lot about myself, about, you know, what I really like and don't like. Honestly, bodyguard work, the glamorous as it looks and sounds, it's not glamorous. It just sucks.
I feel like maybe being in like the inner circle of like POTUS, I feel like that could probably constantly be cool. But
well, so let me tell you another funny story. When you said that, POTUS, right? So without getting into too many details again and breaking OPSEC, I was on the detail with George Bush Senior during Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Oh shit!
Yeah, basically, I had to augment the Secret Service, and because, you know, they were really strung out trying to, you know, send out their survey teams in the front, you know, and set up everything and leapfrogging, and so they needed some augmentation. I ended up being an augmentee. I won't go into the details on that, other than I was in their second ring of security. So you got your inner,
you got the
in the middle. You guys are within arm's reach. Then you got the second perimeter, which, you know, we were about, I don't know, 10 meters out the next perimeter. And then you got your third, which is your kind of your cat team, counter assault team, your snipers on the outside looking in. I was on the second circle, and so I remember when we got there the night before. This was in Saudi Arabia. We downloaded all our stuff, and somebody had to stay behind and secure all the sensitive items, the gear, stuff like that, while the rest of the team went and coordinated with the Secret Service and everybody that was going to be on the movement detail the next day. So I personally didn't get to meet anybody that, you know, we're going to be working with. So the next day goes around, we get on a helicopter and we fly out in advance and go out to one of the forward operating bases, if you will, like literally out in the desert. It was like some out of a movie, man. Set dunes, you know, with some tents and shit, you know, and I think it was maybe a company out there. And so we land, get out there, and then later on, the old man shows up. He shows up with his wife. He showed up also with SecDef, a couple other politicians, right? And they're gonna have Thanksgiving with the troops, So all the troops had to take all their bolts out of their rifles, right? So now they're all standing unarmed. And then
You have to do that if POTUS is coming.
yeah, they did it. They did it then. It took
They
all
don't.
the guys' weapons.
Wow.
Yeah, they sure did. They show up and they're eating. They're eating at different picnic tables, talking to the troops, and I'm standing there pulling security. And I'm wearing civilian clothes. And I remember this really big dude, man, wearing desert camouflage uniform. He's walking up to me, and he knows who I am apparently, but I don't know who he is because I can meet anybody. He walks up to me, he goes, "Hey man, how's it going? It's good to have you out here." And he goes to shake my hand, and I look at him. I said, "Sorry, I can't shake your hand. I'm working right now." He looks at me like, I wouldn't take my hand off the weapon, right?
Yeah, fuck that.
Like, oh, okay. And he walks away, and I'm like, damn.
Broke that guy's poor heart.
No, the guy. So the guy who's in charge of the Secret Service detail, right? He's actually a former. I think he played for the Baltimore Colts at one time. He's a linebacker, so he's a big Italian dude, man. And he knew who I was. I just know who he was. He's like, "Hey man, how's it going? Glad you're out here." And I'm like,
protecting POTUS.
Bother me. I'm working right now. And I wouldn't even look at him, just kept looking around like, find me another target to kill.
Yeah. That'd be me. I'd be that retard.
Well,
hey Dale.
Well, apparently he was like pretty impressed. Like, damn, this guy freaking had
a
hand on the weapon, wouldn't shake my hand, even though I'm in charge. So, and after it was all over, I thought, I'm like, oh shit. I called my team leader over. And, hey man, I just
feel bad. And then go sign an autograph. Yeah. But I mean, you got to, right? I mean, there's no more of a VIP than that. Doesn't matter if it's U.S. soldier, fucking rioter, take them out.
Yeah, that was my training, man. My training was kicking in, I gotta take weapons. So
that's bad.
But yeah, the world of bodyguards, man. I've done a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of stuff for individuals, worked as teams. I've secured the richest man from Israel in Mexico City. That was a shit show, not because of me, but there's another story. So there's a guy. So I get called on to come down to this detail to help secure it, and they've already got a detail leader, team leader, and they're like, we've had them before, so we don't want to bring Dill in. They wanted me to be in charge, but I was kind of like an afterthought. It's like, we don't want to piss off the other guy, just slight him. He's always been in charge.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, I don't care. If a guy can do the job, I'll be a hump. No big deal. I have to be in charge. So, boy, was that ever a shit show. So it turns out this guy had lied about his resume, everything. Right, claimed special forces, hand to hand, blah 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 blah, and they just thought it was true until I get down there, and so I meet the team, and we get our briefing. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing. This is we're going to guard this old man, go here and do this and that and that. It's okay, and then I'm fully expecting for us to start planning routes, alternate routes. Let's lay out. Okay, where's the nearest police stations, hospitals, all the stuff that you would normally do. Contingency planning. Then do a brief back. So we got all this shit worked out. Call signs, radios. Nothing happens. It's like tomorrow morning we're loading up and we're going. I'm like, really? That's not how we do. That's not how you do this. But again, I'm like, okay. Well, I'm the new guy, so okay. So we go along, dude. This guy missed his appointments because this asshole took us to the wrong hotel. Dropped him off at the wrong hotel just to find out it's the wrong hotel because you didn't do the survey. You didn't send the team out, the advanced team out, and all this stuff, right? And I'm like, oh my! It just got worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where the boss was like, you know what? I just give up. You guys just do whatever you want, And so at the end, we found out the guy had literally lied about everything on his resume, and he caught a beating for that. But you know what? That is actually very common. This is not the first time this has happened. I got several stories like that. So if you're out there and you're looking for bodyguards, you better vet your people really close because there's a lot of bullshitters out there, like real bullshit.
Sure. I mean, you know me. You've met me. I'm a total goofball. Whenever I go buy alcohol or something, they're always asking me military discount. I'm always like, no, but it always just makes me think, I'm like, if I have a shaved head and I'm built, I could just sit there and be like, yeah, Rangers, Delta. Well, fuck not, right? But it would take one like you to look at me and go, no, you're not. But if anyone else doesn't know, but I just gotta fucking walk the walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And then it goes from them being bad on the team to, well, what if shit pops off and all of a sudden you got me shitting my pants and I don't know which way to point the gun. Like, right.
Well, it happens a lot. I know stories like this, in Baghdad. It's crazy. There are a lot of fraudsters out there, a lot. There are guys out there that think because they were a bodyguard. And by the way, there's a difference between, so in the military, you have what's called PSD, right? Which basically it's a protection security detail for like general officers. There's a difference between those guys and guys that do executive protection, VIP protection for commercial, like private clients, those types of people. There's more that goes into it. But so a guy that's been riding around the back of a Humvee, a military uniform and a helmet, protecting the general, thinks, oh, I'm good enough to be a team leader on a private executive team, traveling around the world. And they're not. There's a huge difference. And when it comes to the private sector, for example, there are protocols as well, but there's a lot more involved in that travel planning, site surveys. I mean, my client, we flew literally. I remember one time we flew from Hong Kong, we flew to Paris. From Paris, we flew to New York. From New York, we flew to Mexico City. From Mexico City, we drove to Hermosillo, back to Mexico City, then to LAX, and then we flew from there. I think we flew back to Hong Kong, right? We flew literally around the world, private jets, commercial jets, we've got hotels laid on all along the way, and then the hotels, he wants certain rooms. He always had the best room, always stayed in the Four Seasons, top suite, $30. I think it was $30,000 a night. I can go on and on and on. And then there's all the travel in between. Oh yeah, we can't have guns with us. Where are we going to get guns? Okay, I got to coordinate with, the police, the Mexican National Police, and got to get some guys. I hope I can trust them to carry guns and ride in the car with me. So when things go bad, I can take his gun away from him and actually defend us.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into that world that
the cerebral game.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's not just get a gun and
it's not knuckle dragger. That's tactician.
No, there's a lot goes into that. It's not. You're right. It's cerebral, right? You got to be able to run those operations 24/7 around the clock. The old man needs coverage when he's in the hotel room. We had one guy sleeping literally next to his bed, man. But that all takes coordination because everybody else needs sleep and food and whatever. Got to dry clean their suits. There's a lot that goes into it. It's challenging for me on a personal level, at least with my age and my experience. I'm just, on one hand, it's a good job for younger guys. But the problem with the younger guys is unless they have some really good integrity, and they're very professional, and they can avoid all that temptation. For example, going out at night and drinking, showing up the next day with alcohol in their breath, right? Yeah, we're off and go on party, and then they show up the next day, freaking still drunk, or smoking, when they're not supposed to be smoking, checking out the girls or checking out the client's girl, it's like, whoa, but those are the kind of things that get young guys in trouble. And this is why older guys, particularly older guys that are married, are a little bit better for that type of work.
Sure.
And my guys were older guys, married guys, and all fit guys. They were big dudes that would beat your ass, and knew what they were doing. So, but there comes a point for guys like me. It's like, man, it's like, I'm being talked down to by this 32-year-old woman, and my wife. What would my wife think about that? So I always think about it in those terms with my kids. I'm gonna let her, just because she's paying the bills, she gets to talk to me and tell me to carry around her pink purse.
Yeah, fuck right off. Yeah.
Anyways, now you get some clients that are very good though, man. You lay down the plan up front and go, sir, these are my, this is what we do. These are why we do certain things. This is why we'll tell you certain things. You work with us, we'll work with you, and we'll have a good team, and everybody will be happy. But some of these guys, like, I've been on details where we were just like eye candy. They love walking into a room with all these guys.
Yeah.
They got 5 heavy hitters, like, looking like gorillas in suits, like, yeah, these are my boys here. Come bring it on,
Yeah.
And for them, it's just the show,
Yeah.
So anyways.
I feel like you'd maybe want like a self-made billionaire or something. Maybe like someone that I guess respects it a little more.
Yeah.
I guess that just goes for life in general. But that's got to be the other thing. As I was imagining, it's got to be a good thing coming out of the military, where there is, I guess, an agreeable trade-off, right? You're not getting that. You're not tier one. You're not being, or you're not in Delta anymore. You're not being read in. You're not, doing the high speed front line. But you also get, for the work you do, you're also getting paid. You're also getting paid shit. I'm not shitting on anyone in the military, but you're not getting compensated for it. You're putting your life on the line. There's got to be a nice little golden parachute kind of aspect, right? You come out and you go, "This sucks. We got to deal with some dumb hose or something." But every week you're going to be making you're going to be making your annual Delta salary,
Yeah.
and that's kind of a. I see that temptation 100%. You've done your time. Why not go get a pretty penny for it?
There's benefit. Yeah, I mean, the money could be good. The
Sure.
travel, the
Yeah.
other benefits on the side that get. Dude, I lived in Hong Kong, my
Yeah.
favorite city in the world.
Yeah.
I lived in, traveled to, worked in over 97 countries. Hong Kong was my favorite, bar none.
For real.
Awesome, man. Until the Chinese took over again a few
Yeah.
years ago, but it's completely changed, man. It's amazing how different it's gotten in just in a few years. But I love that, man. And here I get to live in Hong Kong, right downtown, middle of everything in the heart of
Yeah,
Hong Kong.
Bentleys, private jets.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the upside to it. But on a personal side, it's like, man, I don't need all this crap.
Yeah.
So then I
Go
go to
go get a couple years of checks and then dip out. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But it actually led to other opportunities.
Sure.
It really did, actually, because I knew this is not my life's work. This is basically something I'm going to do for a little bit
Yeah.
for this company, and that turned into, what? We're just going to give you a $7,000 retainer every month. When we call you, can you come on help? Yeah, absolutely. And that led to that. That actually ended up leading to me making about at one point $150,000 every 6 weeks.
Jesus Christ, Dale.
Yeah. Okay, but let me tell you, the job was really, 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 really dangerous.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure that was even enough money, but
Well, yeah, I mean, you've told some of the mercenary stories on here before. I'm like, no amount of money. You're telling that story where you had to like assemble your own guns and like one pistol only shot 15 feet, and you're like, we're so fucked.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess to kind of pivot from there, and we'll wrap this one up in a couple minutes, is I would imagine you'd start. Now you don't want to throw your other guys under the bus, so you'd be upfront with them. But if I'm in your position and you've got that experience, you know how to coordinate it. That's when you make your own executive protection company. You don't got to go do it. Tell the guys, hey, make 5 times the average bodyguard rate, but you don't have to go deal with all that shit. All right, I feel like that's the move.
There's a lot out there. That's the problem.
Really?
There's a lot of these companies out there, these mom and pop overnight vendors. Everybody wants to be a bodyguard. There's just not enough work to make it, to me, to make it lucrative. At this point, especially, you're going to be competing with a lot of people. And like anything else, in this line of work, when it comes to business, it's not about your experience of what you know, it's who do you know. That's it. Who you know. That's when you get the job.
Yeah.
I know guys right now that are working for some very high profile, the highest profile people in the world. They're on the news right now. And so, and I know what they're going through. And, I'm like, you know what, brother? I was like, more power to you, because, it's, to me, it's just not worth the aggravation, being away from your family, and just putting up with, just
these fuck cons.
It's good money. It can be good money. It can also be poor money. It really can. Like I said, when I started the show, I made $2,000 a day.
That's bananas.
All right. I'm probably the only guy in LA that ever got $2,000 a day. But I made $2,000 a day for in fact, the client goes, I said, listen, how long do you need me for? She goes, listen, stay for another 30 days. And here's my BMW 750 Li. It's yours. Brand new white one. I was like, what? She just turned around and bought herself a black one. So now I got the white one. She's got the black one. I'm like, I left. I said, no, I'm going to take another.
This is fucking, something's not right here.
Yeah, you keep it. That's not who I am. You're not buying me with a car, But so it could be good money, but you better have your shit in one bag, and be worth it, because there's a lot of bodyguards out there that just don't know what they're doing. They just have to be big, knows just some fundamentals, but they really don't know this business like you should. There's more that goes to when it comes to being a bodyguard. You also got to have, social skills. You have to be able to talk to clients, on another level, like, you got to build that rapport and that trust. I could never build that rapport and that trust with the wife. She was just, it was like talking to my teenage daughter. Literally. And so, but the old man, because he and I were very similar in age, is a lot easier. That's why he and I got along really, really well.
Sure.
Even when we would go places, he would introduce me to all his other billionaire friends, and we'd stand around and they'd want to hear the stories and talk, but that was fine. But that's rare, but you have to learn how to do that. And this is where some guys fall short. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to almost, communicate some very abstract ideas that, even though your tactical mindset says this is how it should look, he doesn't have any idea what the hell you're talking about. So you got to relate it to him. So I just had another thought real quick. So I go outside one day with my client. He was a big time smoker and he couldn't smoke in the building. So we go out on the street, downtown central Hong Kong, and wants to go out and smoke a cigarette. So I got with him. He's lighting up, he's smoking. And I'm standing next to him, and this guy walks up, this French guy, and he's got a cigarette. He goes, Can I get a light? And I'm looking at it, and I look at the old man. The old man's like looking at me, and he's like, okay. And he pulls out his lighter. I shit you not. This was like a big lighter with about 100 diamonds on it. This was not a big lighter, right? And he pulls out like, holy shit. He lights the guy's cigarette, right? And he puts it away, and the guy walks away. And I thought, I didn't say nothing. I thought, damn, did I just fuck up? Because that guy could have said, take that lighter and gone.
Mine, yeet. Yeah.
So I come back and I report to the detail, make sure everybody's got $1.99 big lighter in their pocket.
100%.
And light the cigarette, but it's stuff like that, and sometimes you learn these lessons the hard way. But when my guy, man, this guy had so much money. It was insane. I was in Paris with his wife, and she wanted to go shopping, and she would go to these boutiques. They would literally shut it down just for her, and she would literally go in and drop $80,000 in about 30 minutes on clothes, right? On a regular basis, both of them, easily, all the time. So she and I go walking somewhere. She goes and meets all her friends were gay guys because she wasn't allowed around any other men. So, straight guys, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I said that right.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're good. You got
it. So anyways, we're leaving. It's broad daylight. We go out to the corner on one of the main streets, and I call for the limo. It's on the way. She's standing like in the middle of the sidewalk. She's got this, looked like $1 bazillion, man, fur coat on, big pink Louis Vuitton thing, diamonds. She's like, damn, man, it's like great looking legs. And she's just standing there minding her business, looking out towards the street. And I'm actually standing towards the street with my back against the street facing her. So she's standing right there to my right, about 10 feet, where I can see her and I can see all the pedestrians behind her. And I know the limousine's going to pull up behind me, right? So I'm just kind of standing there with my arms crossed. And I noticed this guy. He looks like he's probably from Turkey or Morocco or something like that, right? And kind of a shorter guy. And he's smoking a cigarette. He's got these little beady eyes, man. He's eyeballing that purse and stuff. He's checking her out. He's walking back and forth. Like, I see what he's doing. He's sizing her up, and he's trying to build up the nerve. I know where he's going. He's going for the purse, right? So he finally gets the nerve up. He throws a cigarette down, and he starts to make a move towards her. As soon as he does that, I step forward and I look at him, and he looks at me. And I go, he's like, okay.
Game respect game.
He never saw any of that happen, right? And I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So we get in a limo, and we make it back to the Four Seasons. Now it's dark, and we pull up to the curb, and I jump out on the passenger side. She's curbside, and she's already out of the car by the time I get around the back. And there's about 5 or 6 French dudes standing with long trench coats, you know, they obviously staying in a hotel, and they're talking very loud, you know, pretty much about where we're gonna go. Let's go drink beer, let's go do this, you know, and you know, and as she gets out and they're like, no, they just laser locked in on her, right? Like, damn, how could you miss that? And I'm like, I come around the back of the car, and I know what they want to do. They wanted to say something to her. And she's got her back turned to me. I'm looking at her, I'm going, don't say nothing, because she is brutal, man. She will. I was like, we're gonna have an altercation with her, and I'm like, just don't give me no trouble.
Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
Thank you. And we walk inside the hotel lobby. She stops, turns around, she looks at me. She goes, "Did you see those men out there? How they were looking at me?" I said, "Yeah, I guess they were kind of looking at you." She goes, "I just don't like that. It was so disrespectful." I'm like, "What do you want me to do about it? They're looking at you."
Sorry, bitch. You're hot. Like, be happy.
So that turned into, you know, I thought it was over. I go to my room. I get a call from the old man like 5 minutes later. "Do not let men disrespect my wife." I'm like, dude, I just kept her from getting her ass beat by a purse snatcher, you know? And so, but it was that kind of drama, man, that I'm dealing with, you know? I'm like, geez, man. So you know, I'm doing my job, and I'm not going around punching people in the head just for looking at her, you know? There was another time we got out going to her office. We were about 100 meters away, and the traffic was jammed up, and she's just got a short fuse on her. And she's in her car in front of me. I'm in the follow car. Also, she just jumps out of the car and just starts walking down the sidewalk in a beeline. Oh, shit. I jump out behind her, and I'm trying to catch up. And there's a dude leaning up against a stop sign like this, looking at his cell phone, right? She literally walks up to him and karate chops his arm, chunk, and walks through him, right? And he like falls over. And
what the fuck?
He looks at her, and I'm like right behind her. He looks at me. I said, it's okay. It's okay, man. Please, God. Just let it go. She's crazy, man. Look at me like, I said, I know, man. But this is the kind of stuff I got to deal with, because she felt like she could just do whatever she wanted, and I'm gonna beat everybody's ass that gets in her face, you know. I mean, she's literally she told guys, you know, kick their ass, kick her ass, kick their ass. You know, it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. We don't just kick people's ass because you're mad at them. You know,
that's illegal. Yeah, it's assault. It's
oh my gosh. Yeah.
And she's not wrong though. I mean, she's probably in her whole life, if you don't kick ass, she'll just fucking fire you and get another one. So she's been what a bitch.
So anyways, that's one of many of my different stories, man, out there. But
I can see where that wears on you.
Well, not only that, it puts me in a bad position, you know, because now what happens is I get in I get in a fight, and I get stabbed or shot. Because
that too, and now you're dying for some dumb broad.
I don't mind defending her, but you know, don't set me up for a failure right off the bat, you know.
Yeah.
So we had some, you know, there were a lot of things that went on that detail. You know, it is what it is. You know, it's exciting, but like I said, there comes a point where, you know, when you hit a certain age, maturity sets in. It's like, you know, this is okay.
What am I doing?
For younger guys that are learning, you know, you learn it, but you get to a point like, this is bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, money doesn't even matter, man. I mean, I walked away with a lot of money. And like I said, it usually led to something else, bigger and better things. You know, it's business at the end of the day, and you build rapport, you know, build a network. And usually if you got your stuff together, you know, you'll usually end up in a good place. That was what it was for me. It was a start point to bigger and better things down the road. You know, and so it all had a purpose in life.
That lighter. Yeah, if he's going out there, if he's a habitual smoker and he's always going out there, he's probably going to the same spot. That guy.
Well, he didn't. We just happened to be at a
okay
or something. He's like, you know, I need to smoke. He was a chain smoker, man, and he had to go outside and smoke. But when I saw that lighter come out with all the diamonds, I'm like, oh man, you know,
fucking deja vu.
There's nothing cheap about his life. And he's got serious value to it, man. I mean, serious value to it. I mean, we would go shopping once a week for clothes, maybe once every 2 weeks. And he'd go to these high-end stores again, you know, Gucci, everything else. And they already knew he was coming. They would lay out all the clothes that they knew he kind of would like, already had his size and everything. And he would just go, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that, I don't like that. And he'd spend $100,000 just like that. And he didn't do it. He didn't pay for shit. He said, put on my tab, and he'd leave, and they'd ship it to his house. $100,000, just like that. Like, damn, he never wore the same clothes twice, ever.
Fuck.
You know?
That's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I look at that and I get so like, I'm like, that's so gross, and I'm so jealous, and then I'm like, what am I talking about? I just need that. What am I? Well, I'm gonna stop bitching. I just want to
He
become
was a
that.
snappy dresser though, man. I got to tell you, man, for his
You
age,
better be.
he was a snappy dresser, man. He was definitely in vogue, man. Hairdo and everything, man. We spent a lot of time in the barbershop, and he got his hair
Better.
in different colors and cut certain angles, you know. I guess when you got
Better
that
be.
kind of money, you can do that. Like I said, I thought he was a good dude, man. Overall, I thought he was a good guy, man. You know, I just the other half was not did not appeal to me at all, man. She had some she definitely had some issues. She was not nobody liked her because of that attitude. You know, so anyways, there it is. That's my
I know Joe Rogan's got a team of Navy SEALs. I think I need to one up them. They if my pod not if when my podcast gets better, I'm gonna have you put a team together for me.
deal, man.
And
Yeah.
I'll fucking I'll just have you own it. And I'll make sure to
He needs a team of Navy SEAls. He can save a lot of money. Just hire me. We're good, man.
I know it's well that's my logic is I'm like I'm gonna upgrade. I'm gonna have Dale put a team together for me, and I know how Dale feels about SEAls. So I'm like, Dale, put a team together for me. That's yeah, man. You got that's what I was wondering is if that guy is always. I guess I didn't know it wasn't the same place. You gotta wonder is somebody scouting out. And they're like, that's so and so. That's later. Yeah, those aren't fake diamonds. Yeah, you
Well,
gotta.
we were being surveilled a lot on that particular job. We had surveillance of the Chinese mafia, and you can tell exactly who they are. They're really tatted out. They tend to have these high and tight haircuts.
Do they try to hide it, or is it kind of they don't give a fuck?
They try to hide it, but you can't miss them because just their look, man. And so you know, we knew that there's a real good chance they're going to put a hit on his son, who was young, 14. They're probably going to go for him, kidnap him, rather than the old man or maybe his wife. But you know, we ran counter surveillance teams out there all the time, and that's how we kind of picked him up. And you know who else was following us around? They suck at this shit, surveillance. DEA. So we had, you know, I remember one day we were at some hotel. I'm standing on the like up on the top of the stairs, stand outside, look around. A lot of traffic, a lot of pedestrians. I see an American man and woman walking by wearing 511 pants, backpacks, boots, hiking boots. They said contractor all over them, said agency all over
Walked
them.
out of an LL Bean magazine.
And they stop and like taking a picture of this stupid, benign looking hotel, take a picture of me standing out front. I was like, hey, you know, I knew
Hey, boys, I've probably trained you.
Yeah, they were the worst of the worst. I'm like, come on, guys, you make it so obvious, you know. So we've been followed by DEA, you know, the mafia, and probably some of his other enemies we hadn't seen either. But we didn't do anything illegal. He didn't do anything illegal that I know.
Yeah, fuck off. Well, as I've said before, Dale Comstock, you're the coolest dude I've ever had on this podcast. Your stories never cease to make me laugh. Again, everybody, if you like these stories, go grab American Badass. It's a genuinely fucking hilarious read. It's a short read. And when's you got any dates on the new book?
So no. So I'm just trying to get through this one. I'm doing.
I know you got a million things going.
I'm thinking that once I get back to Bali, I'm gonna go back around a couple of weeks from now. We'll go back and then hopefully slow down a little bit. I'm gonna start banging out. I got 5 books that I want to write. They'll all be ebooks. I'll probably be able to make some hard copies for those that want it, but definitely going to start writing them. There's some really unique stories there. You kind of heard one of them, but this one I'll add the details to it, and Yemen stuff, the stuff in Singapore, the stuff in Dubai. So, you know, I got a lot of things that happen around the world that I've been doing since American Badass that I want to tell the stories.
Absolutely.
But, everybody's listening can follow me on Instagram, Official American Badass. I actually you saw it, a lot of little short stories.
Yeah. Oh, you always got great little snippets. Yeah.
Little teasers, you know, out there, you know.
Oh yeah, there's two little 2-paragraph stories, a picture or two. I'll put the link to your Instagram in there and your Twitter. No, it's great little 30-second clips of Dale.
Yeah.
And that was the genesis of this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I was just scrolling through a fucking daily Dale feed, you know. I saw like the Bugattis and I was like, fuck is this shit? Yeah. That's literally what I wanted. I texted you. He's like, Dale, can we do a story on this? Like, yeah, right.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. Very interesting time. She won't talk to me anymore for some reason, though. I don't know what happened, but I don't know what happened. Maybe I don't know, maybe she got married, maybe she just kind of, whatever.
Whatever.
I don't know, but I know she really poured her heart out. And honestly, like I said, man, I was like, maybe another time, but a different story.
Another lifetime, yeah.
But my life at this point, I'm like, finally, I really put, I put my priorities before, before the P, and
yeah.
I was like, you know what? Yeah. It's still pink on the inside, no matter where I go. So, I want to do what I want. Not live off somebody else's money, and no. So.
Life advice from Dale Comstock. It's how to aim. It's how to draw a pistol. You taught me to always look at it, look away, look back, and lastly, it's still pink on the inside. Thanks, Dale. It's but all right. Well, let's wrap this one up. We'll do the burrito bomb another episode, and yeah, man. As always, I love talking.
We'll talk about the burrito bomb next time.
Fuck yeah.
Funny story too.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Well, let's do that, Dale. I love you, brother. I'll send you this when it's up. I'll text it to you, message it to you, and yeah, let's get the burrito bomb on the books and take care with everything we talked about earlier, and let me know how else I can help you in any way.
All right, brother.
Godspeed. Thank you so much, Dale Comstock.